You're saying Eritrea is going to wait 3 or 4 decades before it holds elections?
Maybe more, who knows?
For some, Eritrea is called the North Korea of Africa. For others, it is a symbol of resilience, sovereignty, and hard-won independence. But behind these competing narratives stands one man who has ruled the country for more than 3 decades without elections, without an implemented constitution, and without political opposition: Isaias Afwerki. Eritrea has been ruled by Isaias Afwerki since independence in 1993. His leadership shaped a highly centralized political system after the liberation struggle and the post-independence transition. The constitution ratified in 1997 was never implemented, and national elections have not been held. Power remains concentrated in the presidency, the military, and the security apparatus.
When are elections going to be held in Eritrea?
Then we will wait for about 3-4 decades until we see genuine natural situations emerge in Eritrea.
You're saying Eritrea is going to wait 3 or 4 decades before it holds elections?
Maybe more, who knows?
As Isaias is now 80 years old, the question of succession has become unavoidable. In centralized systems like Eritrea's, leadership transitions are not guided by transparent electoral mechanisms. They are managed within elite networks that include the security establishment and senior military figures. Stability and continuity are the primary concerns of these actors. Within this context, increasing attention has focused on Abraham Isaias, the president's eldest son. Abraham is not a public revolutionary figure like his father, nor does he possess liberation war credentials. Instead, he represents a technocratic profile. Reports indicate involvement in strategic economic sectors, particularly mining, which remains one of Eritrea's main sources of foreign revenue. In centralized political systems, economic influence often translates into political leverage, because control of revenue streams strengthens proximity to state decision-making. Abraham's association with digital infrastructure and technological projects further highlights his emerging role. Modern governance increasingly relies on information systems and administrative technology. His involvement in these areas suggests preparation for administrative and strategic responsibilities rather than traditional political mobilization. Diplomatic appearances and participation in foreign engagements have also increased, signaling introduction to both domestic elites and international partners. This does not mean succession has been formally declared. Eritrea has no official vice presidency or public succession roadmap. However, political transitions in centralized systems typically begin with gradual empowerment and visibility rather than immediate announcements. The pattern of Abraham's engagement in economic and diplomatic domains is therefore politically significant. Elite alignment remains decisive. Among the most influential security figures is Abraha Kassa, a senior official within the intelligence and internal security structure. In systems where political authority depends on security institutions, the position of such actors is critical. Their support or neutrality would be required for any controlled transition. The former Liberation-era generals also play a central role. Senior commanders such as Philippos Wolde-Ohans carry institutional legitimacy derived from the independence struggle and decades of military organization. Their authority is rooted in history and organizational cohesion. For these generals, succession is less about family ties and more about preserving stability and institutional continuity. If they view a transition as compatible with their interests, support becomes possible. If not, internal tensions could emerge. The family dimension remains part of the broader analysis. Isaias Afwerki's wife, Saba Hale, participated in the independence movement but maintains a low public profile. Unlike political dynasties in other contexts, Eritrea's presidential family has not historically operated as an overt governing bloc. The other children, Elsa and Burhane, have not been integrated into political or security structures, leaving Abraham as the primary figure associated with potential succession.
You promised Eritreans political reform. There are no political parties other than your own.
I do not promise.
There
I
is
do
no
not promise anyone. I do not promise anyone. We never do promises. The people here don't.
You promised democracy.
No one here promises anybody anything.
This positioning reflects the logic of the system created after independence. By centralizing authority and limiting institutional competition, the leadership model prioritizes elite management over electoral politics. Succession, therefore, becomes a matter of internal negotiation rather than public contestation. At 80 years old, the presidency cannot remain indefinite. Even in highly centralized states, continuity planning is necessary to avoid instability. Security officials and military leaders understand that uncertainty in leadership can weaken governance. Predictable transition, if achieved, reduces risk and preserves institutional interests. The evidence does not indicate an official succession announcement. However, the increasing visibility of Abraham Isaias in strategic sectors and diplomatic settings suggests political preparation. Whether this evolves into formal leadership depends on elite cohesion, military alignment, and the broader calculations of the ruling establishment. Eritrea's political future will be shaped by these internal dynamics rather than external speculation. Succession in centralized systems is a strategic process. It unfolds gradually and is managed within existing power structures. The preparation of potential heirs, the stance of security officials, and the unity of the military establishment will determine the outcome. In that context, the discussion of Abraham Isaias is not simply about family. It is about governance, continuity, and the structural requirements of political transition in a system built around centralized authority. The coming years will reveal whether Eritrea navigates this transition smoothly or faces new political challenges.
There is no commodity called democracy. There is no commodity that is promised by any one person to the people of one country.